thank you for coming. I have the official rebuttal to Fadilah Yusof accusation that when PH became government, PH cancelled the projects for Sarawak. Right, this is the statement that I'll read it out, and any question will be followed later. DAP would like to rebut this false and baseless accusation made by Fadilah Yusof that during PH's time, Sarawak's projects has been cut. One, and that the Sarawak's rights were not taken care of. Okay, there are 3 points that I would like to highlight on to rebut Fadilah Yusof's statement. One, on MA63. When Pakatan Harapan was in government, we tabled the Constitution Amendment for Article 1, Bracket 2 of the Federal Constitution, restoring Sabah and Sarawak's rightful status under MA63. However, this amendment failed to obtain two-thirds majority support in Parliament, only because GPS itself came out with UMNO and PAS to defeat it. The bill would have been passed 2 years ago in 2019 if not for MPs from those three parties purposely sabotaging the vote. In addition, it was also under PH that 17 out of 21 matters on the restoration of MS63 had been resolved by the Cabinet Committee on the restoration of MS63. Regrettably, the PH government was toppled soon after. Whatever progress we had achieved within those 22 months was lost. Now we are back to square one with the disbandment of the Cabinet Committee and the formation of yet another committee by the new PN government. 2. On Pan-Borneo Highway. The Pan-Borneo Highway was never cancelled. PH merely removed the project delivery partner, which PDP, which was completely unnecessary for a highway project, saving Malaysians nearly 3 billion. Fadilah is lying outright with a straight face. With these savings, it will mean more projects and benefits for Sarawakian. 3. Fund for dilapidated school. The federal government under PH allocated 1 billion to repair and upgrade more than 1,000 schools in rural Sarawak. Moreover, repair works for dilapidated schools in Sarawak are managed by Sarawak's own Public Works Department, PWD. And I would like to add that the fact that after 55 years of Barisan Nasional, both national and both federal and state governed, that you have 1,000 dilapidated schools in rural area, that speaks volume of the failure on the part of the BN government, both Sarawak BN and National Sarawak BN, National BN. The bigger issue is the fact that the Sarawak GPS government has been abusing these funds to build new schools at exorbitant cost, benefiting their crony contractors. For example, in Sarawak's 2020 state budget, GPS allocated 29.5 million for SK Ulu Segang Bintulu alone, a school with a mere 250 students. On top of that, GPS also allocated another 35.7 million for SK Maludam, a school that had just 350 students. The shocking amount spent on one school alone is simply unjustifiable and just doesn't match the number of students enrolled or the facilities that are built. Where has all the money really gone to? GPS should not use school projects to line their own pockets or that of their cronies, all in the name of education. Fadilah is clearly desperate in spewing such unfounded lies against Pakatan Harapan, which had done a lot more for Sarawak than BN and GPS ever did when they are in federal government. In less than 2 years, PH doubled Sarawak's annual grant under Article 112D, with plans to quadruple it over 5 years. Additionally, PH increased Sarawak's development expenditure to 4.4 billion in 2020, 40% more than what BN has given to Sarawak. In just 2 years, PH has increased the development expenditure specific to Sarawak by more than 40%. Not just that, PH finally ended BN's senseless ban on sugar imports, unlike BN that forced F&B, food and beverages manufacturers in Sarawak to buy sugar from West Malaysia at much higher prices. PH allowed them to import sugar from overseas at far lower prices and save business costs. Furthermore, it was also under PH that the first ever East Malaysian Chief Justice was appointed, Richard Melanjong. Without a doubt, PH has always been committed to amplifying the voice of Sabah and Sarawak and respecting them as equal partner in our nation. Therefore, we call upon Sarawak voters to reject GPS as they have failed the people of Sarawak, as their leaders are only interested in enriching their cronies and themselves via corruption and abuse of power. Vote DAP and Pakatan Harapan to ensure a strong opposition in Sarawak to provide the necessary check and balance on the government and to protect the rights of Sarawakian. Alright? Okay, I think you go on first before. There are 3 issues today altogether.
Good morning. Thank you, members of the media. So today I'm just going to elaborate on the plans and approaches on for Sarawak as well as Batu Kawah in terms of for my team. So as expressed in the previous press conference, the plan, or at least our approach, is building Sarawakians post COVID-19. So we are for development, but what is more important is development of the people of Sarawak so that they receive direct benefits, especially to weather a post-COVID situation. So the 5 focus areas I mentioned before in Batu Kawah, today I'm going to elaborate on the plans for one of the main focus areas, which is care for the elderly, women and children. So this is preparing for an aging Sarawak and its wider care needs. So in Kuching, we know that a lot of the residents are hitting seniority or senior citizens. Sarawak itself is facing an aging issue, with 16% of its population expected to be 60 years old by 2030. So given the lack of job opportunities in Sarawak, the younger generation has sought better economic opportunities in West Malaysia, Singapore, even as far as Australia or even in UK. While these Sarawakians work tirelessly each day to support their families, they are faced with constant worry about their aging parents back home here in Sarawak. If their parents fall sick, they have to either sacrifice their promising career and return home, or even spend a considerable amount of money to hire professional private caregivers. So care challenges are not only confined to the elderly, it affects other segments of our society too. Those with family members who are facing disabilities or long-term illnesses would have to juggle around the clock trying to balance between caregiving and, of course, earning a living in their jobs. Without access to affordable childcare, a family is denied additional income earner as parents need to stay home to take care of their kids. Sadly, more often than not, women are the ones that have to sacrifice and take on this unpaid but noble care work. Therefore, addressing this issue would not only benefit care recipients, but empower majority of women who undertake these roles to pursue their own economic opportunities. So beyond that, investing in the caregiving segment will also create jobs for locals in the state and other spillover benefits to the state. So with more resources coming into Sarawak and even more devolution of powers to the state in the future, we must start investing more into human development, particularly in this case, care services. For the benefit of people, I will work hard to champion the following measures if given the opportunity to represent the voice of the voters of Batu Kawa in Dun. 3 main pillars. Number 1, to promote in-home care services, to call for the setting up of a startup or seed fund to encourage the establishment of more home-based care services as alternatives to the common care homes. Having more service providers in the market will ensure a more competitive rate so that it is within the reach of those who need it. Areas of services can range between elderly, children, or disabled. The second, preparing the care workforce, introducing an appropriate regulatory framework to ensure in-home caregivers receive necessary training before they can join the service. This also sets a minimum standard of service to ensure the peace of mind for care recipients and their families who send their care ones to these care homes. And number 3, childcare subsidies. Monthly childcare cash benefit for each poor and middle income families to ensure they can afford to send their children to registered childcare centers. Making childcare services accessible to more families frees up both parents to actively participate in economic activities and earn a living. So these are the 3 main pillars that I will be fighting for the government and also for us to make sure this framework is strengthened. So it is about time we give more emphasis towards our care support system. Life often has its challenges and is of course unpredictable. That is why as a society, we must ensure we build the necessary building blocks to protect the most vulnerable segment of our population. So let's move ahead. As we build Sarawakians, we can strengthen Batu Kawa and we can strengthen Sarawak. Thank you. Any question? 怀疑的我会等下 send 给你们了。谢谢你。Any questions?
Hello. I have prepared a statement which will be sent to the media, and I'll read it out. The Chinese will also be translated and provided to the media. So yesterday, the candidate for GPS for the N12 Kota Sentosa C, Wilfred Yap, posted a video featuring Kapitan Tan Kung Yi, where DAP was blamed for the rundown drainage system in Kuching Garden. While GPS tries to blame DAP for everything under the sun, including the lack of basic infrastructure or poor upkeep of infrastructures, it should be noted that these items fall within the jurisdiction of local authorities. In the case for Kuching, it is MBKS. For Wilfred Yap and Kapitan Tan's information, DAP has been raising community issues to local authorities on numerous occasions. Not only are the complaints made through the Tali Khidmat application, I have personally made it a point to issue letters to MBKS and MPP to look into all such problems, particularly the drainage issues at Stamping Resettlement Scheme and Jalan Dapatkan respectively. I have records of these letters in my custody, and it is sad to note that till today, I have yet to receive any reply from the authorities. For GPS to bring up this issue goes to show how inefficient the authorities are. To put the record straight, the mayor of MBKS is a candidate for N9 Padungan, and the chairman of MPP is also a candidate for N13 Batu Kitang. Even Mr. Wilfred Yap, the candidate for N12 Kota Sentosa, is a councillor in MPP. As such, it is pertinent for us to highlight to everyone, especially GPS, that any lack of infrastructure or poor upkeep of them is a reflection of the inability, inefficiency, and insincerity of GPS in serving the people. That is all.
Alright, and final one, I think we'll just set this banner.
Oh, just also one more point. Candidate for Batu Kawah is Minister for Local Housing.
Local government.
Local Government and Housing.
It looks like Alright, I'd just like to show the press. Alright, this is the okay, this is a poster that we put up. Got GPS Gabongan Pass Sarawak. Alright. And showing the Gabongan government that GPS has together with PAS and UMNO, and it was taken down forcibly against our objection because the SUPP raised the objection on this banner. They say that PAS is not contesting here, therefore any word PAS cannot appear on the banner. This is ridiculous. But my question to GPS is that while you so readily form the government together with PAS and UMNO, why are you so fearful that we highlight your partners in federal government in this election to the people of Sarawak? If you think that PAS and UMNO is so terrible that your association with PAS and UMNO will push away voters, will diminish your support amongst Sarawakians, then why are you doing it? Why are you bergabung together with PAS and UMNO to form the federal government? Are you thinking that is SUPP and GPS thinking that by pulling down these banners, the people of Sarawak will not know that GPS is part of the federal government together with PAS and UMNO? Is that the intention of SUPP and GPS in pulling down or asking SPR to pull down these banners? Alright, when SPRs, we have enforcement of team in every dune that we are contesting, and if you can notice that the face of Hadi Awang was there's a green sticker, all right, over his face. In fact, initially it was the face of Hadi Awang. All right, then the SUPP people objected. No, you cannot have Hadi Awang's face there because he is not a candidate. All right, so we say okay, we cover it then. We put the PAS logo there, and despite that, they say no, you cannot have that, and wanted to pull down. The SPR wanted us to pull down this banner, this billboard. Then our enforcement team asked the SPR officer, what is the reason then for pulling down this banner? The SPR officer could not give any answer except arahan dari atas. All SPR officer can give is arahan dari atas. Obviously, the SPR is not independent, right? But the more important fact is that the GPS try to cover up or try to all attempts to make Sarawak people forget that they are in government together with PAS and UMNO. That is why they instructed the SPR to forcibly pull down our billboard. Anything referring to PAS, UMNO, as if it is such a taboo and horrible words. PAS, PAS, UMNO, UMNO cannot appear in any banner that is and cannot appear in any banner in this election. That is ridiculous. Alright, but I would like to highlight this and remind GPS that although you can manipulate SPR to remove this billboard, but Sarawakians would still know that you, GPS, is part of the federal government together with UMNO and PAS. Bergabung dengan UMNO and PAS. Therefore, this GPS Gabungan PAS Sarawak is very apt description of GPS. And a vote for GPS would be an endorsement to the Gabungan UMNO PAS GPS. Okay, all right.
I just want to add a little bit, especially in rebuttal to Yang Muhammad Fadilah, who mentions that all we are doing is playing on race and even religious issues. The fact of the matter is, we are duty bound to speak up on anything that impacts on the life of all Malaysians. When we find there is a breach of fundamental rights and human rights, or even oppression, we are duty bound to speak up, especially when policies and laws are affecting the rights and liberties of non-Muslims or any segment of the community. If rights are affecting the Muslim community, we are duty bound to speak up. If rights are being affected among the non-Muslim community, it is our fundamental right to speak up for them. So it is because policies that's been introduced by UMNO, PAS and GPS who are in government, they cannot think that this does not affect Sarawak or Sarawakians. As I said, the more we empower GPS, the more we endorse such policies that the government is aware infringes the rights of non-Muslims, but yet they do not seem to care. There are 250,000 estimated Sarawakians living in Semenanjung, Malaysia. Are we supposed to stay silent and not speak up to them when their fundamental rights are being challenged? So we are not playing on racial and religious issues. We are speaking for the people, for their rights that is protected under the Federal Constitution of Malaysia and also Malaysian Agreement 1963. So the fact that they are endorsing, they are closing an eye to such oppressive policies shows that they are the one that is not playing. They are the one that is endorsing racial divisive policies.
All right. Any questions? No. This is the end of our daily press conference today.